But my fiance at the time said, you need to get a job. So I'm like, I'll show her. I'll get a job at a homebrew supply store. So I did, and then I was helping people make homebrew and teaching classes and unloading trucks. But I was reading a magazine one day, and there was an ad for a brewing school, the Siebel Institute, that said, this is how you train to become a brewmaster, is to come to this brewing institute in Chicago. And that was the baseball bat to the back of my head, because I thought, well, wait a minute, there's a brewmaster, there's somebody in charge of these beer factories that has to have technical knowledge. Like, that's what I want to do. That's it. I found my purpose. And so I applied for this scholarship and got accepted and went to beer school. Yeah, it was a great moment.
All right. Welcome to the CCC News Podcast. Today we have a special treat from Hood River. Matt Swihart is here with Double Mountain Brewing. He has quite a story about the development of the brewery, which is a really fun place to go and visit. And I'm going to hear a little bit about your journey and how all that came to be. So thank you for coming today, Matt.
Thanks, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So when we were chatting, kind of getting ready for the interview here today, you were telling me that you grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
Yes, the garden place of the earth, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah. Nice flat farmland, yeah.
Yeah, very good. And probably not the traditional pathway maybe to brewing that you might imagine anyways or assume.
I started off I was an aerospace engineer, at least that's what I studied. I was one of those young kids that fell in love with the space program and the Apollo missions and all that stuff. So I ended up at Purdue and studying engineering, and then got a job building fighter jets for McDonnell Douglas down in St. Louis. So
my goodness,
did that for a while until I decided it wasn't my cup of tea, and then did many other things before I found brewing. So
right, so you very strong in math growing up.
Totally, yeah. It was one of those. You sit down with your high school counselor, and it's like, well, you should go into engineering. I'm like, okay. Will I like that? Like, I don't care. You should just go into it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that growing up. My father was always pushing the engineering. Right. I think my brother got about 2 quarters or so into it.
They try to weed you out. They get you into college as an engineering student, then they weed you to another profession, so.
Right, but that kind of manifested itself. That math, I'm sure, has helped you along the way.
It has, yeah. It's, When I finally discovered brewing as a career, I was drawn to it because it was a mix of left brain and right brain. So, you had the technical aspects, the engineering, the thermodynamics, and the chemistry. And so that was all very technical, pumps and hoses and valves, brew kettles. But then you had this other side of your brain, which was the art and the beauty and the taste and the flavor. And what I didn't like about building airplanes was it might take you 10 years to design a fighter jet or 25 years, or you would start it and someone else would finish it, or your grandsons would finish it. But brewing or making wine, you create it, you make it, and then you get to evaluate it 3 weeks down the road. And then someone sips on it at your bar and you can look at the expression on their face. Like, are they having a good time or are they not having a good time? So I love the start to finish, control all the aspects of it, and then if you don't like it, you change it.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've been one of those people that's been at your establishment with a pretty big smile on my face. So
good to hear. Yeah, we're trying to put smiles on people's faces. That's
Excellent.
The idea. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, you were telling me a little bit too about you went to the Siebel Institute in Chicago.
Siebel Institute. Yeah,
Siebel. Thank you.
It was started by, like old man Siebel, and then his sons ran it, and started in the 1860s, 1870s, and they would have had the original Pabst guys went there, right. Miller went there, and the Budweisers went there.
So the macros, the big breweries.
The big boys started there, and it was a German brewing school. It was a suit and tie establishment. You studied in German.
Wow.
It wasn't that way when I went, but that's how it studied. And then it started. And then when I went, it was kind of the twilight of the big brewing era, as I like to call it,
Yeah.
and the little guys were starting to come in and wanting to know about the science. And so I went to school with guys from Japan, from Mexico, from Pakistan, from the United States, some Miller guys. But they were all big brewers that sent their people for training. And I was this young craft brewer that wanted to learn the science. And they didn't know what I was doing there at all.
So this was 19 or
It would have
18?
been 90, around 93.
93.
92, 93.
And so you're surrounded from people who are coming from, the big industrial,
Yeah,
brewers.
I think if you want to learn a skill, I want to learn with people that have done it for hundreds of years, and not just made it up on their own. So I wanted that industrial big experience and heritage to be able to draw on. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Perfect. So, and did you weren't sponsored? You didn't have probably somebody that was like sending you to that school at that point?
No, I was really on a budget those days, and so I got a scholarship to go to the program. I interned at a little brewery in Frederick, Maryland, for a job, and I painted houses. I did a lot of little things to be able to get there, and then as soon as I was out, then it was like I need to find a job, which brought me to Hood River to work at Full Sail. So.
Yeah. Exciting. Well, you had a kind of an interesting story about being at the Siebel Institute and how you were talking to the folks, maybe your profs or the folks that were teaching you, but about kind of your idea about having maybe a small brewery or
there was, I think I realized at that time it'd be great to start my own brewery someday. And it's like, well, brewing's really complicated. It's not for, it's not you're not living in Vermont, sipping tea and honey and brewing in the snow kind of thing. They thought I was this kind of, excuse me so much for that.
That's okay. We can cut it.
We should have talked about that.
I should have said something.
Forgive me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I was talking with the folks there at Siebel, I had mentioned that I wanted to start my own brewery, and they thought that was an absurd idea. Just like good luck to you. We'll see you in the unemployment line kind of thing.
And here we are,
Here we are later.
Yeah, right. Like how many, breweries are in, just the Hood River County alone?
Well, it's phenomenal. I at least 8.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Right. Yeah. And in Portland, or not Portland, excuse me, Oregon is
hundreds, if not 1,000 breweries in the state of Oregon. It's gone when I first was interested in the brewing industry, it had gone through a tremendous purging of a lot of players, and things got really consolidated. Mm-hmm. And I was part of that scene where the first people came in to bring craft beer back and do those traditional European brewing styles, that people hadn't seen in this country for a long time.
Yeah, I just I remember that just like the back of my hand, like, McTarnahan's, Scottish Ale and some of Portland Brewing's, beers that came out. And of course, McMinimums and Hammerheads and all that kind of stuff. And it was just this awesome kind of explosion of culture.
Well, it was super exciting. And some of those early beers weren't very good.
That's right.
So I remember, when I was living in Washington, D.C., I was trying to figure out where I wanted to work. And I went to this place called Cleveland Park Liquors, and they had a great beer selection from all over the world. And I bought beers, all of the craft brewers that I could find in the United States. And then my girlfriend and I, fiance at the time, we assembled this big tasting and had our friends over, and we tasted beer from all over the country. And I'm like, we tried to find what we liked the best and pick out where I wanted to apply to work based on if they were doing a good job or not. So, and Full Sail actually came up pretty high on that list when we were trying beers, and that beer was being sold illegally there at that time.
Right.
Contraband. Early days of craft brewing. Yeah.
Huh. And that's a fascinating way to choose, your future employer.
Everybody should choose their job that way. Whatever tastes the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you obviously you discovered Full Sail through that process, but so you ended up back here in like the late 90s.
Yeah,
maybe,
I moved here in '94. Moved here from Washington D.C. to be a night brewer at Full Sail, And I did that for about 12 years and kind of worked up through the ranks there a little bit. I was kind of the assistant production manager when I left, and wanted to finally did start my own place.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing that across the street there at Double Mountain. So
right. But kind of a heady time for breweries, small breweries, and that kind. I mean, could you feel like a lot of opportunity in the air when you were working back then?
Well, it's interesting. I've always been a kind of a student of history, and in brewing specifically, and you would kind of watch the ebbs and flows. And so the market, has booms and busts. And so certainly the 70s were the time of when things started to go away and the regional breweries started to die, and think about the Rainiers and the Blitz Swiharts and that sort of thing. And so I love those breweries, nostalgically love those old regional players. And then there was this thrust of the craft brewers that came in that brought all this new enthusiasm and flavor back to the American palate. But then people went too big, and there was too much capacity that was built, and they overproduced their market. And then so when I started Double Mountain, there was a falling out in the brewing world again, and a giant trough. So it was kind of a hole, and so which to me was an opportunity to come in as a new player and do something different. So brewers were starting to scale back and be sold and go out of business, which to some people would think is a bad time to start a business, but I thought it was a great time.
Oh, well, it sounds like a heck of an opportunity. Tell you what, let's go out to a word from our sponsors. We'll come back and pick up right where we left off.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey friend, if you're having a tough time right now, you're not alone. Whether you're dealing with stress, mental health challenges, emotional pain, or concerns about alcohol or drug use, there's someone here ready to listen. Just dial or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here for you 24/7, 365 days a year. It's free, it's confidential, and it's available to anyone. Yes, even if you're reaching out for someone else. The counselors in 988 are trained, caring, and judgment-free. They're ready to talk, to listen, and to help you or someone you care about get through a difficult moment. You matter, your story matters, and help is just 3 numbers away. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime, anywhere.
All right, and we're back with Matt Swihart with Double Mountain Brewery in Hood River, and we were just talking about kind of the ebbs and flows of the brewing business, and how you had an opportunity in 2007 to get Double Mountain Brewing going. We were talking a little bit off camera there about your business partner. Remind me,
Charlie Devereaux. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He and I were good friends. We, played music together and went to a lot of concerts together. And
what kind of music do you like?
well, we just I like a lot of bluegrass, and I like a lot of. He liked more like the jammy, Grateful Dead kind of stuff. So, but we like to get
That
together
works.
and drink beer, listen to music, try to solve the problems of the world.
Yeah, excellent.
But he was a brewer with me at Full Sail, and he had started a brewery in Massachusetts that had about a 3-year run and then went out of business. And I was trying to start up this new thing. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, and I was bouncing ideas off him. And then I finally, at some point, said that I wanted to quit my job and start a brewery. And he said, "I've been waiting for you to say that." And so then we did it together and put our heads together to make Double Mountain.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. So, did you have a location figured out, or did
No,
you
we looked all over town, honestly, trying to find a place. I really didn't want to be right across the street from Full Sail, but that's the place that I found. I was riding my bicycle at lunch, one work. I was off to get a taco or something, and I went by this old building that had a for lease sign in it, and called the number and looked at it, and probably rented it by the end of the week.
Really?
Yeah, it
That
was
quick?
just perfect. It was a 5,000 square foot building downtown. It had a whole kind of shop area in the back that could be turned into a brewery. It was light industrial zone, so that worked for the city. It was just it was the right spot.
Yeah. Wow, very good. And had you and Charlie had some pretty deep discussions about the kinds of beer you wanted to make, or
Yeah,
what was the focal point?
We
in the beginning?
spent an enormous amount of time talking about what kind of beer we wanted to do, and then what kind of place we wanted to create. So, really, that was the focus. We wanted to get the carpenter that just got off work, that wants a beer on his way home, somebody that maybe got off the water or something like that. But we wanted to definitely feature a place geared towards locals that would hold them in the winter, not so much geared towards the windsurfing crowd, and just make a comfortable space that had music that we like to listen to, kind of an English pub kind of feel with some dark woods, some character, lots of signs on the walls, old beer memorabilia, So we did about a year investigation, if you will. And so Charlie and I went to hundreds of pubs.
Sounds like a good time.
And then tried to figure out what we liked about each one. And we talked to the bar owners and we asked them, what worked for them, who their customers were. And then I had some companions that I used to drink beer with regularly at Full Sail when I got off work, and they were locals that came in for just that kind of experience. That every Thursday night they'd go down there to have a pint, and I love that local contact and that local focus of what that pub used to be. And so I had 5 people in mind, and I tried to build the pub like, what would they want?
Okay.
What does Mark want?
Right.
What does Dino want? What does my friend Jim want? What do they want to see when they walk in the door, and what music should be playing? And so every decision, I just kind of build it around those 5 people.
It's like a think tank.
It was. I didn't tell them I was doing this, but it was just, that was the way that I kind of made decisions. And then I wanted to be able, like, sit at the bar. How does it feel?
Right.
And we spent a lot of time thinking about the space.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, you said you toured hundreds of pubs and that kind of thing, right?
Yes, I did.
Is there?
It's been a lifelong obsession.
Yeah, I'm still exploring.
Yes.
But is there one that stood out to you?
Oh,
that you go, wow, that's a pretty good prototype.
Honestly, the Horse Brass was an early inspiration in Portland. There was a place called Oaks Bottom that was run by this place called Jim Parker. He was an inspiration, and I liked that pub. A lot of small places, and not like, I shied away from kind of the industrial feeling spaces, and just really more cozy couches, dark woods, just something you just hang out and spend time. With the idea being is you come in, you start talking to the person next to you, rather than watch a TV screen. So we don't ever have TV screens at the pubs, because I don't want. I'm disappointed when I see people on their phones.
Right.
Talk to
Me
somebody.
too.
Talk to somebody next to you. Make a new friend.
Yeah.
Tell a story. And
British pubs are that way, right? Like, it's a places to go talk politics or events of the day, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've experienced that a little bit. I've been to London a couple of times, but it's a great experience.
Huh. Very good. I had a great experience about a year and a half ago. I got to go down to Portland, and my wife had gotten tickets to a show to Brett Dennen.
Okay.
And it was at the Aladdin Theater, right? And so I walk into the Aladdin. Of course, the first thing I want to have is a pint, especially before the music starts. It gets me just right. And they had Hop Lion.
Yeah,
which is
sure.
Yeah, and as if you all don't know it, that's a fantastic IPA that Double Mountain brews, and I just love the heck out of that beer. That's one of my favorites. But maybe you have a favorite, or maybe you and Charlie had like a goal in mind when you were creating maybe your first beers, or
and thanks for the note on the Aladdin, because we actually partner with them down there to.
Oh, great!
We do pizza slices, on the side for them down there, and then they put our beers on tap. It's a great theater, great old shows down there.
Yep.
So, beers in mind, we were trying to think outside the box. Like, we didn't want to make the perfect Northwest IPA or the perfect pale or the perfect lager. So we thought it'd be better to blend styles. So my approach, I kind of took over the beer side, and Charlie kind of took over the pizza side. But my approach was really to, like, take the best of each brewing culture and bring it together. So like the Belgians had the most interesting yeast and the most flavorful yeast. So we would use a Belgian yeast strain. The Germans had really exquisite tasting malts. So we would feature some of those European malts. Coursed hops should come from the Yakima Valley and the Willamette Valley because they're grown locally and they're really the best hops in the world and unique American flavors. So you've got this, European malts and yeast and Northwest hops. So we've never done well at contests, to win medals and kind of things because our beers don't fit in the right squares. But we don't want to fit in the right square. We want the right beer that tastes good and we like it. And I don't care if you don't like it. I shouldn't say that, but all the beers we formulate, it's because we want to drink them. So it's a brewer's brewery. Is the expression I like to use. Is we make beer for us, and if you like it too, that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And so when I kind of go look at some of the you have like a Turn the Haze IPA, India Red Ale, but there's some really fun names out there like the Cluster Blank IPA.
Cluster, yes.
The Cluster F. We'll just call it the Cluster F.
Cluster F.
But that is just like part of this. The fun of this is like the names.
Well, we just like to have a good time.
Yeah,
and we're kind of by design a little irreverent, and if we poke a few bears now and then, that's okay. So we're just really trying to have a good time and let our hair down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of like the culture of it too, to some degree. And we were talking about the art and kind of the fun, like you get the naming rights and all that, of course. But like the art that goes, with the bottles or,
we've been really lucky to have several really good artists on staff. So whether that's the chalk art, because we'll make a specific chalk art for every beer that's on display. We've got some of the old ones up there. That's been pizza cooks and brewers and front of the house people and marketing folks that have worked for us that have just taken that local art talent and let them kind of explore what they wanted to do. And sometimes we've hired, my friend John Porter is a graphics designer in Portland, and he did some of the original labels for us, and the original hop logo is his, which has been, people have tried to rip off that logo several times. So it must be good because I find myself writing cease and desist letters, excuse me, now and then, like, no, you can't use that. Yeah, I like it too. Thanks for noticing.
That's a great problem to have, though.
Yeah, it is.
You're doing something right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, great. Well, let's come back to the beers and we'll talk a little bit more. We'll go out to our sponsors for a second and we'll be right back. Hey, Josh, did you know that we are funded by our readers in large part?
I did know that, but please tell me more.
Yeah, it's our local readers here that make it possible for us to go out and gather news on local businesses and important issues in our community. And so we need people to support local news. Did you know you can make a difference in our community's economy and culture by supporting local journalism? I bet you did. But maybe you out there don't. And so you should visit our Support Us page at CCCNews.com to subscribe to a monthly donation to keep news local and start making a difference in our community today. Again, that's CCCNews.com.
And remember, CCC News is available for everyone and funded by readers.
Welcome back to the news podcast. We're talking with Matt Swihart today. We're chatting a little bit about Double Mountain Brewery, and we've been talking a lot about the beer, but you guys have another great piece to the business down there, and that's, of course, the pizza.
Cheers.
Yeah, and you were telling me, like, when you first got started, Charlie was your pizza guy.
He was our pizza guy. Yeah, he was, of course, he grew up in the New York area, and when he was put in charge of developing our menu and what the food was going to be for our customers, he's like, well, if you're going to make me do this, we're going to do it my way. We're going to do a New York style, bar style pizza, like, in New Haven, Connecticut. And I was all in. I love that style. It's, that super thin crust, a very hot brick oven. And so he apprenticed with other pizzerias studied a bunch. He burned the first 12 pizzas coming out of the place, got the place on fire almost. But he did a really nice job. It's a great menu, and it's a testament to that style of pizza.
Yeah, and New Haven pizza style.
Yeah, that's the origin. I mean, I think that's the penultimate expression of that style.
Oh, okay, very good. And New Haven then being an outskirt of New York.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
and so in that thin crust style and
super thin crust, simple ingredients, Italian cheeses. And not a lot of toppings. So the trick with that crackery pizza with a little bit of char on the bottom is if you overtop it, it can get soggy. So it should be a little crackery right there on the crust. And so it's learning to pace yourself when you're making the pizza, is to not overtop it, judiciously say no, that's enough. That's enough cheese. That's enough mushrooms. You know? It's easy to overdo it. So it's a hard one to learn.
Yeah, you get to hold back, right?
It is.
Well, great. A couple of pies you kind of got out right now. It's the Fire on the Mountain.
Fire on the Mountain is there's a restaurant group in Portland. They've got a couple of places. Fire on the Mountain. They do an incredible assortment of wings with all these great sauces. Tremendously popular place. And my head brewer Greg used to work with them and be a cook for them. And so they have a long friendship with that restaurant. And so when we started, when Double Mountain came together and Greg started working for us, we got together with the owners of Fire Mountain. They wanted to do kind of collaboration pizza with us. So we developed this hot wing pizza that uses the ingredients, that are from those wings. And it's a nice spicy chicken pie. It's got that Fire in the Mountain sauce on it.
Yeah.
We look forward to that every year.
Huh. Very good. But judicious, right? You don't use a lot.
Not too much. Yeah. It's spicy. It should hurt a little bit, but it shouldn't be painful, right?
How many Scoville units we talking?
Oh, I don't know. Less than 1 million.
Okay, good. It's not quite a ghost pepper.
Not a ghost pepper.
Okay, well, good. We'll have to give that a shot. And the other one, which leads me to something else, but the other one is your heirloom.
The heirloom pies are our most popular pizza. It's only available during fresh tomato season. And
why don't you make it year round?
I love that story. You can't make it year round because there's not fresh tomatoes year round. But we do get asked that question pretty regularly. You should make that year round.
Yeah.
So it's a pesto-based pizza, and with multiple varieties of bright colored tomatoes that are fresh, placed on after the pizza is baked, so they're nice and they've still got some structure to them and tons of flavor. Lots of good Parmesan cheese, and what we started doing a couple of years ago is our longest front of the house server, Sylvia, that's worked for us for a long time. She wanted to start a garden and start growing all of our tomatoes. So last year, Sylvia grew 2,000 pounds of tomatoes, 800 pounds of basil, and then, some flowers and some other stuff too. So we've got a full farm kind of at our warehouse, irrigated, where Sylvia's working, 3/4 time, just growing our tomatoes for us.
Right. I was going to say.
Super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's a lot of tomatoes.
It's a lot of tomatoes. Well, and I was skeptical when she came to me with this idea of we want to grow all the tomatoes for Double Mountain. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't want to do that. What do we spend on tomatoes in a year? And our accountant says well, it's like $50,000. I'm like, yeah, no, we can get into that. let's try to be smarter about that.
Yeah.
And the flavor's better.
And just supporting one of your beloved employees. You said she's been with you a very long time.
Next to me, she's our oldest, not our oldest employee, but the longest time in the seat kind of thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And the reason I kind of bring that up too is it touches on what you said a little bit earlier is being able to grow the produce and kind of take your product from the seminal beginnings all the way
start
to a
to
finished
finish.
product.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. I mean, not total vertical integration, but the idea is that the more parts of it that you can control, you can make the right decisions and use the right ingredients, so that the summation of all these wonderful things becomes an even more wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And so, to be able to pull those tomatoes in, or we grow our own apples for our hard cider, that kind of thing. It's really key to have control over what that final quality is going to be.
Yeah. And another great point there that when we were chatting, you talked about being able to purchase a warehouse up in the Odell area where you could have enough room for cold storage because you have
we got
orchards.
Yeah, we have orchards, and then a cold storage facility. It's 25,000 square feet. It's got the biggest solar array in Hood River County is on the top of it. And we store our beer and our hops and 1,000 bins of fruit, of apples that end up turning into our Double Mountain hard cider. And so it's great to be part of that local ag community. We rent cold storage back to different orchardists and that sort of thing. So it's been a great addition to our hub.
And you have the cider press up there,
Cider press is up at the warehouse, so we're pressing all of our own cider, which is pretty unique to a lot of cideries, to not buy just juice on the open market. We're actually picking the varieties of apples, pressing them ourselves, fermenting them, and then pouring them in a pint, giving it to you over the bar.
Very good. And in that process, and I think you described it perfectly, in each there's so many steps to coming to a final product. Like, say if you're brewing, you're in the mash tun and you're mixing, and then you got to get the wort separated from the grains. And
there's a million decisions.
Decisions.
If you're making cider, you're making wine, you're making a pizza, you're making beer.
Yeah.
There's a gajillion things that go into it, and if you can make the best decisions you can at each stage, you assemble, something that really becomes, a higher level, higher quality, better experience for people. So we try to do that every stage, and then very importantly, value the people that contribute to the process through that too. So, if you have tremendous turnover of your staff, you don't have that institutional knowledge and those quality control steps. So that's the other component, is just keeping the people involved and happy with the process.
Right. And those people that can make the right decisions at the right times, right? And that's that institutional knowledge you just mentioned.
It is.
So when you talk about Sylvia, like, how long has Sylvia been with you?
Well, this was our 18th year, so she's been with us 18 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think she started 2 months after we opened, something like that. She was working at the Crazy Pepper across the street. So
just amazing. And I've noticed kind of just this thread, because you're a science kid, you're growing up, and you thought well enough of the industry to, like, hey, I want to go to this Siebel Institute. I want to learn the proper way of developing the business, or get my base. So before I go out and start experimenting, I have a really good foundation. But that also kind of goes back to your ethics on, like, bottles, because you guys do a lot of bottling. And so tell me a little bit about that. I think you've been out kind of trying to create some systems.
Yeah, it's our refill program. It's a giant efforts in sustainability. So when we decided to put beer into a bottle, something other than a keg or a can, we wanted to choose the highest quality container that was the best experience, and that's I'm just a fan of a glass bottle. It feels better in the hand. It's got the lowest amount of oxygen involved, because oxygen is a staling mechanism to beer, and so it's just easier to keep oxygen out of a bottle than a can. So it has more shelf life. There's not a plastic liner like there is in aluminum, and so there's a lot to like about glass. And then if you can reuse that glass, then the carbon footprint of that package is like 70 times less than what even a recycled aluminum can, or a recycled one-way glass is, like I like to say it, used once and then broken and thrown away, or recycled. So that's a program that was around in this country up until the 70s. It was ubiquitous. All the sodas were in returnable bottles. All the beers were in returnable bottles. And it's still done that way in other countries, but we really got out of the habit. And so we're trying to bring it back, and with a partnership with the Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative out of the state of Oregon. We've got an Oregon bottle It's made in Portland, shipped to us. We put beer in it. It's recollected. They clean it and they ship it back to us. And so those bottles can get reused 25, 30 times.
Wow. 100 times. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, reuse. That's great.
It's really, and it's just, and we didn't create this idea. It used to be done. We just got out of the habit as Americans. And so just trying to do the right thing. I mean, the planet's on fire. So it'd be nice to use a little less carbon.
Definitely would be, and thank you for that. And as I understand it, you're kind of going out and helping other states kind of reacquire these habits, if you will.
Yeah, we're trying to. I'm on a couple of work groups. There's an anti-plastics coalition that I'm part of, and a lot of reuse platforms, and we're trying to work with different legislatures in different states to pass bottle bills similar to the Oregon bottle bill, where there is a deposit system, you bring your containers back, and then incentives for the state to hit reuse targets, like 5% of all containers will be a reusable container, and then to start phase back into that European style, formerly American style system of reusable glass.
Yeah. Okay. And on that, clear, green, or brown?
Well, brown. Amber glass has the best protection.
Protection from UV?
From sunlight. Yeah. And a clear glass, it looks nice. But that's, that old, idea about beer being skunky. That's because they used to put it in clear bottles and the hops would change their flavor to what smells like a skunk.
Yeah.
And so they kind of solve that technically with the hops by making a different hop compound. But then you're brewing with tinctures and oils rather than just raw leaf hops. So it's not the best way to approach it either. But yes, brown glass, that's the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. We'll go out for this quick news from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Double Mountain Brewery, refreshing you all summer long with distinct and delicious brews and ciders to choose from. Try a Hop Lion IPA, a Vaporizer Pale Ale, or even a Double Mountain Red Ale. Or try a unique pear or apple cider, which were grown in the Upper Valley and meticulously crafted from start to finish. You can find Double Mountain brews at local grocery stores as they are distributed in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, or just do yourself a favor and head to the brewery for a pizza and a pint in downtown Hood River. They're at the corner of 4th and Columbia Streets. Double Mountain also features brew pubs in Woodstock and Lookout if you're in the greater Portland area. All right, welcome back to the CCC News Podcast. We're talking all about Double Mountain Brewing and that kind of thing. And I just, before we take off, I just wanted to chat with you a little bit more kind of about the epiphany you had. You said, it was just hilarious when you were talking to me about it. You said when you were about 25 years old, you had decided that engineering really wasn't going to be your bag. It just wasn't philosophically the thing that was fulfilling you and that kind of thing. And you were at a point in your life where you said you were reading 3 newspapers a day, going to the museums, and having some nice walks and that kind of thing. But this idea of becoming a brewer, of kind of looking at the microbiology of it all and that kind of thing. So you said it kind of hit you in the back of the head. Well, tell me what that means.
It did. I like I said, I was an office temp there in Washington D.C. for a while, and a lot of random jobs, but mostly I took walks and read papers. But my fiance at the time said, "You need to get a job." So I'm like, "I'll show her. I'll get a job at a homebrew supply store." So I did, and then I was helping people make homebrew and teaching classes and unloading trucks. But I was reading a magazine one day, and there was an ad for a brewing school, the Siebel Institute, that said, this is how you train to become a brewmaster, is to come to this brewing institute in Chicago. And that was the baseball bat to the back of my head, because I thought, well, wait a minute, there's a brewmaster, there's somebody in charge of these beer factories that has to have technical knowledge. Like, that's what I want to do. That's it. I found my purpose. And so I applied for the scholarship and got accepted and went to beer school. Yeah, it was a great moment.
Man, well, what a fantastic gift for all of us over here, in the Mid-Columbia. Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming today. What a great interview. I much appreciate it. And tell the folks where we can find them in Hood River. Yeah,
where you
find
can find
you.
our beer?
Yes.
Our beer is distributed throughout Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, mostly in the Portland area, a lot of bars and taverns, and also at the grocery store. You should find it at your local market. So
All right.
look us up. We're in glass bottles, and bring those bottles back. If you bring back a case of bottles to my tavern, I'll buy you a beer.
Very good. All right. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Tom. You guys have a great program, and I really enjoy your news stuff.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today at the CCC News Podcast here at Columbia Community Connection, where we cover all things local. If you like what we're doing and you want to support us, please like and subscribe at the bottom of the page.